Our first speaker is David Clarke, who is the co-founder and CEO of Synaptica. And David will be talking about multilingual UI displays in vocabulary management. David, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me to endorse. Just by way of introduction, before I go through kind of the presentation, it's just over 30 years ago since I worked with a team to build a multilingual reference database to the world's industry standards. And the idea, this was for a company that's now, I think it's IHS Markit, part of S&P, but this was 30 years ago. And it had a multilingual taxonomy. And the whole idea was that you could search in French and find the German DIN standard that you needed to trade, to make your products comply with. Or you could search in German and find the British BSI standard. And the need for multilingual systems, the need for multilingual discovery of data has been with us for a long time. It's with us today. And of course, the semantic web makes methods for doing this much easier than they were 30 years ago. Today, I own a semantic tech company, and we build taxonomy systems, ontology management, taxonomy management systems for enterprises. So I don't directly deal with the publication of open data in multilingual formats, but I do consume it on behalf of my clients who, use things like the Agravoc or Gemet. I'm going to actually show examples from UNESCO, but multilingual vocabularies are empowering to businesses as reference vocabularies. Most of the clients that we work with, they're also global businesses, and they're creating their own multinational taxonomies to describe their enterprise content and interrelate that content with what is out there in the public domain. So that's kind of just some framing. Let me just move forward. So what kind of requirements do our users have? Most of our users are using SCOS as the ontology model for managing taxonomies. Some of our users are using OWL. It doesn't really matter. In RDF, obviously, you can language type any string literal field, and that's what we do. And so for multilingual displays and search and browse, we're trying to create experiences and UI that meets the people's basic requirements. So here you can see that people are managing different labels, are managing different definitions, let's say, in different languages, and all of that it needs to support kind of team collaboration, cross boundaries, international borders, and so forth. And the user experience is needed to support that. Absolutely central for effective management of collaboration and governance in ontology and taxonomy management are access controls, or ACLs. And one of the ways that we manage this is through something called projects. And a project is it's a portal in which you as an individual will enter a collaborative space to do taxonomy and ontology management, to do semantic development, basically, with your colleagues around the world. And inside that project, we need to know what is your role in this project, because an individual might have multiple roles in different projects, but when they're doing one particular job, what are the permissions and controls that we need to give them? So projects is kind of this central area where permission control is crucial to the collaboration process. And this is just a bit of back end to illustrate what I mean by that. So in this project, which is called Topics and Workflows, I've got a role here called a system administrator. It could be a different role. But then what we see are lots of different, on the right, lots of different taxonomies. These are different semantic schema. And you'll see some here that are public domain reference sources like Eurovoc and GEMET, the Environmental Sciences Multilingual Vocabulary, and UNESCO and so forth. Once we expand one of these vocabularies, we can control ACLs down to the individual property. We can hide it or reveal it. If it's revealed, we can make it editable or non-editable. And this kind of control is necessary for that project teaming collaboration with multiple users in multiple different places working on semantic development together. We're going to look at search and browse when we talk, search, browse and edit actually, when we talk about how the multilingual displays work in the systems we build for clients managing multilingual vocabularies. And I'm going to start with the browse experiences, and then we'll move into search. So on screen right now is a view of, this is of the UNESCO vocabulary, and we're, like most taxonomies, we're able to navigate down this hierarchically. We can actually expand this into a graph visualization where it's, nodes and edges between nodes. But in this particular view, we're having a look at this hierarchically because I want to show you the idea of we will want to browse a hierarchy of concepts in a language, and then we'll want to flip languages. So the ability to actually flip the hierarchical display is quite important. A couple of other things to note, on the far right here, we've got some different pref labels, and you will see those preferred labels are language type. There's a little drop-down selector on the far right where you can say, is it Spanish or English or French or Russian or whatnot. And note too that essential is the ability to handle non-Roman scripts. So the multilingual character sets are really important to be able to support there. Other things that taxonomists care about, I'm currently viewing in English. I've got my view that is going to give me, multiple pathways, hierarchical pathways up at the top. I'm viewing my concepts, my related concepts in the middle, and I'm looking at my data properties on the right. That's our basic layout. Now, we could go and say, I want to now view the same thing, which is the UNESCO dataset, but I want to view this in French. So up on the upper left, we change our primary display, navigation display, to French. That hierarchy has restructured itself, but it is choosing the at FR values, the French label values from the UNESCO thesaurus to give the browse experience in French. Pathways up top have also switched into French, as have of course, the primary concept label up top. Now, in the center section where we have related things, one of the things you'll note is that a couple of things are flagged in a light pink, sort of a little bit of a warning. There is no French available in that for that particular related concept. And this is a challenge that I'll circle back to at the end. How do you deal with, when you have multilingual data sets, you're rarely going to get everything in every language. If you did, wow, that would be perfect. But we don't live in so perfect a world. So how do you display things that don't have a value in the chosen language when you are flipping between many different languages? There's no one right answer to this. We currently have tell them it's not available in that language. You can click on that and you'll go to that and you'll see all of its available languages. But there are alternatives that we're exploring with users. Should you have a rollover order? If the English isn't available, Next, I'd like to see French. If the French isn't available, I'd like to see the Spanish, etc. And personalize that experience for people. These are design challenges that people building multilingual experiences will doubtless have shared with us in facing those challenges. So we're going to have a look, we're going to have a talk about preferred alternative labels here, different standards. So obviously all lexical labels and all lexical properties in an ontology need to be language typed. If the data type is string, you need to language type that string in a multilingual world, because it could be the definition, it could be a scope note, it could be the primary label set, whatever it is, it needs to be language typed. Another question, design question, is do you go with two language codes, or do you go to multilingual language codes where you have English, US, English, British, etc. These questions will affect the design. Let's have a look at search. So search is also an area where we need selectors, and when we make these selections, we are choosing the language of the search phrase we're entering as distinct from the language of the display that we want to see, and we can actually combine these things. I might want to search in Spanish and see my results in mixed languages or in German and so forth. So the ability to mix and match the language with which we search and the language that we display in the search results are all important. On the far right here, and we're coming up to time, so I'm going to brisk through this now. On the right here, you will see that we have the ability to search inside specific properties. So I might want to say, I want to search for, terms that have something in the label, in the terminology. Then I want to go inside the definition and specify I can search inside that definition in a nominated language. In this particular example, we're looking in the Spanish language. Okay, this is almost the last slide, and we're coming up to the hour. So basically, geographically distributed teams collaborating on multilingual vocabularies. We need to support user interfaces that allow rapid and easy ways to change your search language, your browse language, your display language, and your edit language. I've shown you a few examples of these things. There's certainly lots of other things that we haven't looked at today, but hopefully that gives you an idea of some of the formats for display, and also some of the challenges that anyone faces presenting multilingual data to audiences. The benefit is tremendous, and so we're all, and thank you EU for producing so many great multilingual data sets. I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Thanks, David. We've gone a little bit over time there, so I'm just going to ask you very, very quickly, and I want you to wrap this up in 30 seconds for me. As multiple users often work on the same vocabulary, how can they validate each other's work? How do tools allow that? Just if you can, in 20, 30 seconds.
Yeah, so customizable workflows and customizable basically reports. So you can create a query, for instance, that says, find me all the things that don't yet have a French value in the definition field, and make that available to a team who their job is focused on fleshing out multilingual definitions. So one simple example in under 30 seconds.
Okay, thank you very much, and I'm sure we'll be able to have more back channeling with you afterwards, and we'll get some more questions to you.